Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Vasudevaya.
We chant this just before we recite the actual verse that we're going to be reading from the Bhagavad Gita. But before we see the verse, I want to thank all the devotees who have come. And I want to especially thank all the senior devotees who are allowing me to speak here in their presence, primarily for my own purification, in my attempt to glorify the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. So we'll take verse 2 from chapter 9. Raja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ,
Rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ,
pavitram idam uttamam,
pavitram idam uttamam,
pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ,
pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ,
su-sukhaṁ kartum avyayam,
su-sukhaṁ kartum avyayam,
rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ,
rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ,
pavitram idam uttamam,
pavitram idam uttamam,
pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ,
pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ,
su-sukhaṁ kartum avyayam.
su-sukhaṁ kartum avyayam.
Please recite.
rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ,
Rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ,
pavitram idam uttamam,
pavitram idam uttamam,
pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ,
pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ,
sukham kartum avyayam,
su-sukhaṁ kartum avyayam.
rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ,
Rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ,
pavitram idam uttamam,
pavitram idam uttamam,
pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ,
pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ,
su-sukhaṁ kartum avyayam.
su-sukhaṁ kartum avyayam.
Rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ,
Rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ,
pavitram idam uttamam,
pavitram idam uttamam,
pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ,
pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ,
sukham kartum avyayam.
su-sukhaṁ kartum avyayam.
Mataji.
Rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ, pavitram idam uttamam, pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ, su-sukhaṁ kartum avyayam.
Translation. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and joyfully performed. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupada ki. This chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called the King of Education because it is the essence of all doctrines and philosophies explained before. Remember, this is the 9th chapter, so this is the most confident. It's like right in the middle of the whole Gita. So there's quite a bit of philosophy already explained before. Among the principal philosophers in India are Gautama, Kannada, Kapila, Yajnavalkya, Shandilya, and Vaishvanara. And finally, there is Vyasadeva. There's a little picture of Vyasadeva over there. The author of the Vedanta Sutra. So there is no dearth of knowledge in the field of philosophy or transcendent knowledge. When you read Prabhupada's books, you learn new words. Dearth. By itself, you won't know what it means. But when you read it, then you realize dearth means like shortage. So, yeah. Do well in SAT if you read Prabhupada's books. All you kids, seriously. Read Prabhupada's books, you'll score really high in the verbal section of SAT. It's a tip. Now the Lord says that this 9th chapter is the king of all such knowledge. The essence of all knowledge that can be derived from the study of the Vedas and different kinds of philosophy. It is the most confidential. Because confidential or transcendental knowledge involves understanding the difference between the soul and the body. And the king of all confidential knowledge culminates in devotional service. The king, keep this in mind, the king of all confidential knowledge. So I'm not going to read the whole purport, I'm just reading some excerpts from it. Generally, people are not educated in this confidential knowledge. They are educated in external knowledge. As far as ordinary education is concerned, people are involved with so many departments. Politics, sociology, physics, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, engineering, etc. There are so many departments of knowledge all over the world and many huge universities. But there is unfortunately no university or educational institution where the science of the spirit soul is instructed. Yet, the soul is the most important part of the body. Without the presence of the soul, the body has no value. Still, people are placing great stress on the bodily necessities of life, not caring for the vital soul. The Bhagavad Gita, especially from the 2nd chapter on, stresses the importance of the soul. In the very beginning, the Lord says that this body is perishable and that the soul is not perishable. Antavanta ime deha nityas yokta sharirina. That is a confidential part of knowledge. Simply knowing that the spirit soul is different from the body and that its nature is immutable, indestructible, and eternal. So that's confidential. But that gives no positive information about the soul. Right? You say it's not quite there yet. It doesn't give positive information. What's positive information? Sometimes people are under the impression that the soul is different from the body and that when the body is finished or one is liberated from the body, the soul remains in a void and becomes impersonal. Void means nothingness or zero or stop existing. Or you become impersonal or there's no activity. But actually that is not the fact. How can the soul, which is so active within this body, be inactive after being liberated from the body? Right? We are active by nature, even as we're sitting here. Right? We're shifting one leg this way. And we can't even sit still for 3 minutes. Right? We are active by nature. It's just the way it is. You know? So how can we be inactive after liberated? It is always active. If it is eternal, then it is eternally active. And its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential part of spiritual knowledge. Now see, you have to read Prabhupada's purports very carefully because previously he said this is confidential. He's distinguishing this from that by using the word most. This is most confidential. You see? So the activities of the soul, the eternal activities of the soul are the most confidential. Right? Guhyaṁ, confidential. Part of spiritual knowledge. These activities of the spirit soul are therefore indicated here as constituting the king of all knowledge. The most confidential part of all knowledge. It is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can perceive the results directly. Pratyakṣ. This direct result is actually perceived. And we have practical experience that any person who is chanting the holy names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, in course of chanting without offenses, feels some transcendental pleasure and very quickly becomes purified of all material contamination. This is actually seen. So the word pratyakṣa is mentioned actually 3 or 4 times here, just in this section. perceive, right? Perceive the results. It's actually perceived. We have practical explanation. We see, we feel. This is actually seen. Prabhupada is stressing. This is not something theoretical. You see it and you confirm it. Furthermore, so beyond that now, beyond the practicing of hearing and chanting, furthermore, if one engages not only in hearing, but in trying to broadcast the message of devotional activities as well, or if he engages himself in helping the missionary activities of Krishna consciousness, he gradually feels spiritual progress. Even if you get involved in helping the missionary project, you feel the spiritual progress. This advancement in spiritual life does not depend on any kind of previous education or qualification. The method itself is so pure that by simply engaging in it, one becomes pure. You see, Srila Prabhupada is directly distributing books. You see that? He's handing them out. And in that tradition and his very emphatic instruction, devotees continue around the world to hand this valuable knowledge to others. And the devotee feels the bliss. You feel it when you share Krishna consciousness with others. You feel it. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So this is a picture of my spiritual master along with his spiritual master. Shri Prabhupada ki. I was fortunate enough to see my spiritual master yesterday. There's a program upstairs. Swami Krishna Prabhu was also there, and we had a nice darshan with him and a lot of good association. And he told us the importance of being Krishna conscious and keeping in touch with the spiritual process, and the importance of the whole Guru Parampara system. So it's very enlightening. So the verse, rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ, pavitram, idam, uttamam, pratyakṣāvagamaṁ, dharmyaṁ, su-sukhaṁ, kartum, avyayam. So this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. Doesn't look like very much. Everyone's really like stressed out. What are you going to eat on 4th of July? Right? But what do we usually do on 4th of July? Like what most people end up doing?
Watching fireworks.
Quote unquote, we watch fireworks. Why do I put in quote unquote? Because nowadays this is what we do. We don't really watch them through our eyes. Now we look through our cell phones. Everything we have to record for some reason. Who is going to watch that 20-minute long video that you took a shaky hand? You're not even enjoying the fireworks, right? You take their nice camera, you fill up the memory, you have like 128 gigabytes on it, and the 40-minute long video of the fireworks, you can't see properly. You're never going to watch it again, but it takes the 20 gigs on your phone, and then you put it in your computer, the computer gets filled up. Anyway, I know because I did this, so it's like really, it's a real headache. So at least, let your eyes do some direct seeing. Pratyakṣā, direct perception, okay? So 4th of July is coming up. What does 4th of July celebrate? Independence? Actually, did we get independence on 4th of July? The kids know all this stuff. The grown-ups are like, what are you talking about? Of course we got independence. What happened on 4th of July then? The Declaration of Independence. We didn't get independence. Why? We just declared it, I'm independent. Right? That's actually, you're right. That's what happened. They declared, in 1776, 4th of July, they declared independence. They didn't really actually get independence. They said, from now on, I'm not going to follow you, Britishers. We're just going to do our own thing. We're going to drive on the right side of the road, okay? From now on, no more left side. Like basically, you're going to do opposite, whatever you guys are doing from now on, this way. So, they declared independence from England. They said, we hold these truths. This is written in Philadelphia back in 1776. We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable. That all men are created equal and independent. That from that equal creation they derive rights inherent and inalienable, among which the preservation of life, liberty, and the pursuit of
Happiness.
Everybody knows this. You know everything. Who? Yeah, Prahlad got it first. Everybody knows this. Pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is an inalienable right that they're declared. And they're saying it's a God-given right. It's not that because of the declaration now we can be happy. No, no. This is something, the right to be happy, though, not right to be happy, but the right to pursue, the pursuit of happiness. Pursuit means you have your idea of what it means to be happy. You should have the freedom to run after it, whatever that may be. So life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Alright, so what is it that makes us happy? Why? What are the different things? Why is it so important, this pursuit of happiness? Right? What are the different things that make us happy? Anyone?
Nature of the soul to be happy always.
Nature of the soul is happy, but okay, what are the kind of things that make most people happy? Or most people will say that this is what happiness means.
Good prashad.
Good prasadam, non-ekadashi prasadam. Anyone else? Good relationships. Good relationships make us happy. Anything else? Madhav is saying, yeah, money. You need money, of course. How can you have good relationships and you can't even buy your family anything? Or the one you love, you can't buy a rose or anything. Right? There are many street side Romeos are there. We can't afford even a rose. What's the point? Right? So money you need. What else? House. Yeah, house. Obviously, that will we're kind of boring without a house, right? It's like hanging out there. So the car is also good.
Association.
Festivals, yes. Association, right? Relationship. Yeah, definitely. So these are some of the things that most people say, like balancing your life, family, these relationships, health. Of course, if your health is poor, you can't be happy. Good career, future, friends, family, etc. So these are some of the things that make us happy. And of course, to support that, we do need the big old bag of kaching, dead presidents, as they say. Right? They call it dead presidents. That's code for money. Because if you look on the money, so money is the basis of happiness, at least for a lot of people, right? But we know this is not always true, right? And of course, if you want to make money, you got to be educated. Unless you're born in a very rich family, you can just kind of get by. But most people, they want to pursue education. Education is a very, very important part, right? Even if you're born in a rich family, you should at least pretend to be educated, right? I mean, the rich people, they send their kids to college and they have a good time, but at least the pretext has to be there. Education is very important. Otherwise, like this fellow here, not so happy, and he's very sad, right? So it's miserable. You gotta have some money, and otherwise life is. But this isn't always true. This equation that money makes you happy. Everybody knows this, right? There's very miserable rich people, and then there's poor people who are quite happy actually, a lot of the time. Although this lady is not that poor. I mean, if you look closely, she has gold in her teeth, so she can't be that poor. But obviously gold is pretty expensive. So, but just as an example, I'm just seeing it now. But anyway, the point is that the equation is different. Money is not necessarily the cause of happiness, although it definitely helps. It definitely helps. Everyone agree with that, right? It helps, especially if you have everything else in order. It's good to have a little bit of money. So happiness does depend on education, actually. The topmost happiness depends on the topmost education, naturally. So what is the verse? Rāja-vidyā, Raja is the king of education. So the topmost education yields topmost happiness, actually speaking. Rāja-vidyā, rāja-guhyaṁ, pavitram, idam, uttamam, the highest. pratyakṣāvagamaṁ, dharmyaṁ, su-sukhaṁ, kartum, avyayam. It's always good to repeat these verses. It helps us memorize them. They are purifying in themselves. So in the purport, Prabhupada asked, how can the soul which is so active within this body be inactive after being liberated from the body? It's always active. If it is eternal, then it is eternally active, and its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential part of spiritual knowledge. So we talked about this. These activities of the spirit soul are therefore indicated here as constituting the king of all knowledge, the most confidential part of all knowledge. So what are those activities? That whole notion or set of activities or loving devotional service is also known as bhakti. Bhakti. So activities of the soul are those directed to loving devotional service. Bhakti. We've heard this word bhakti a lot, right? But bhakti can only mean Krishna bhakti, actually. Because bhakti has to be towards Bhagavan. Right? Only Krishna bhakti. Some people say Desh bhakti. The word bhakti doesn't belong to Desh or anything like that. If you're a patriot, you say you're Desh bhakta. But bhakti can only belong to Bhagavan. Right? So you can see these devotees who are chanting and having a blissful time, glorifying the Lord. So these are activities of the soul. So where is it that all happiness, all living beings seek happiness? They look for it in a particular place. What are they looking for? What is everybody really looking for?
Love.
All you need is love. All you need is love, right? Yes. Rashi knows that song. She's humming it. All you need is love. It's actually a pretty old song by the Beatles. So yeah, you can see it in the book, but when you're in love, you're not going to read the book. You'll make these heart shapes and stuff like that. You're not going to study, right? So where is it that all these living beings seek happiness? In love. In love. Actually, we all want love. And we're picky about love too. We want a very good quality love, right? Not just like some fake thing, right? So like purity of love, for example. We see in this world the love between the mother and the child is very pure, right? So what are some of the symptoms? The genuine happiness that we get consists of a flow of loving exchanges. We'll do anything for love. We'll give up all our money, all our family sometimes for love, right? Because there's something about love that is so attractive that all other things pale in comparison. It is eternal, pure love. So genuine happiness consists of a flow of loving exchanges. Of course, we want it to be selfless and unmotivated. We don't want to be, we don't want to be in a relationship where the motivation is something other than love. We don't want something like a selfish motive. So it has to be unmotivated for there to be genuine happiness from that love. And it has to be uninterrupted. We don't want it to stop. We don't want it to end. We want it to go on forever. We want to go on at least as long as possible, if not forever. Right? Why do we grieve so much when time takes away our near and dear loved one? It's extremely heartbreaking. So we want this love to continue. We want it to be uninterrupted. Ahaituki apratihata. For it to be fully satisfying. Yayatma suprasiddhati. Yayatma, to the soul, suprasiddhati. What is that verse? Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasiddhati. This is from Bhagavatam. That for the love to be truly satisfying to the self, it has to be unmotivated and uninterrupted. But the winds of time always present an interruption. Isn't it true? You may have a very, very long relationship. You may be childhood lovers right from kindergarten. You get married and you live to be 92 years old. And you have a very loving, pure relationship for your whole life. But at 92 or 95 or 105, the time factor sweeps it all away. And it is no longer uninterrupted. That's the end of it. When they get married, when do we part? Till death do us part. So we do part. Death is unforgiving. That love, pure as it may have been, is not uninterrupted. Is it possible then, or is it just a fantasy, to want or to have uninterrupted love? Is it possible? Say loving relationships between friends, between family. If they are centered on Krishna, because Krishna also enjoys that love. and Krishna is eternal, our souls are eternal, our relationship with Krishna is eternal, and our relationship amongst each other when centered on Krishna is also eternal. Therefore, ahetuki apratihata, the uninterrupted nature of pure spiritually based relationships is what gives us satisfaction. When we know that the love that's happening here, the relationships, the exchanges that is happening here will continue over there with Krishna. That's how it works. We have so many movies and stories where there's a hero and heroine, but the hero is not worthy. Only one hero who is worthy, and that is Krishna. One hero in our consciousness who is worthy, that is Krishna. When we have Krishna in our consciousness, then it is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Truly international. It doesn't matter what race, language, country, tradition you're from. Because there's only one Father of everybody, that is Lord Krishna. And we're seeking Him to find happiness. So if the soul is eternal, then it is eternally active. This is from the purport. And its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential part of spiritual knowledge. This is called bhakti. So what are the processes of bhakti? We've talked about bhakti. So, okay, how do I do bhakti? Come on, tell me, you're talking about all this bhakti. How do I do it? What am I supposed to do? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, right? Padasevanam. So a whole lot of Sanskrit words flying across the room right now. Let's okay, so that's all correct. Let's see if we can just kind of dumb it down a bit. Hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the lotus feet, serving the deity, praying, executing orders, friendship, and complete surrender. These are the 9 processes that you can do all of them, or you can do one of them very well, and we can be engaged in the process of bhakti. These activities are very natural to us. It's like breathing. And when we don't do them, it is like holding your breath and stifling your existence. And it is quite painful when we're not engaged in a relationship with Krishna. Hearing and chanting, remembering. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada stressed the processes of hearing and chanting especially, right? If you remember. So what does he say? It is said that the execution of devotional service is so perfect that one can perceive the results directly. Perceive. You can see it. You can measure it. This direct result is actually perceived. Sometimes, some people will argue that, you got your faith, and then you have your institution of knowledge, which is your universities, your scientists, your labs. And faith is just what you believe in. Science is something you can confirm with your eyes. You can see it. But your faith, you just believe it till you die. After you die, who knows if there's God or not? We don't know. That you'll find out after you die, nobody has seen. But science, you can see it right now. Well, Prabhupada is challenging that notion here. Krishna is challenging that notion here. He's saying, pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ. Pratyaksha. You can perceive the results directly. This is a science that is just as concrete, or even more concrete than physics or chemistry, actually. Something you can see is repeatable. It is. You can do an experiment and see if it works. How do you see it? Prabhupada says we have practical experience in any person who is chanting the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In course of chanting without offenses, feels some transcendental pleasure and very quickly becomes purified of all material contamination. This is actually seen. Think about it. If all these millions of devotees were practicing, how can they continue practicing around the world? People from all walks of life. They pick up this process of chanting Hare Krishna, and 2 hours a day they're sitting and chanting this Mahamantra. How can you keep doing it? Day in, day out, day after day, week after week, month after month, decade after decade. Because one feels some transcendental pleasure. You feel it. Pratyaksha. Right? This is actually seen. Pratyaksha, aksh means eyes, aksh, right? Prati means in front of. So we will see God in front of us, actually, with your own eyes. Prabhupada said, you will see God. You want to see God? Who wants to see God? Alright, whoever will raise your hands, I'm going to direct your attention to the altar over here. We have Shri Gaurnitai, Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman, we have Srinathji. Shri Gaurnitai ki! We are seeing the Lord in front of our eyes. And we say, okay, well, okay, I don't want to offend you, but you know they're actually made of marble. Right? If you're being honest, you'll say, yeah, they're made of marble, you know, I mean, I've seen them, but this is not God. This is maybe a symbolic representation of God. Maybe, at the most. If you want to be respectful, you know. The symbolic representative of God, I'll honor that representation. But this is not God. But that's not true. According to the scriptures and according to the authorities, God can take shape in any way. He can appear in any form. To say God cannot do something is limiting him. If you say God is unlimited, how can you say he cannot do it? He himself says, I do it this way and I come in this way. And Krishna reciprocates. It's true. If Donald Trump walks into this room, I know most people will leave, but some people will just see some guy stepped in and he's sitting there. And some people will see, oh, this is Donald Trump. Oh my God. And then some people say, oh my God, and get out of here. But some will not recognize and some will. So it's not that nobody saw him. Some people saw him but didn't recognize. There's a difference. You see but you don't recognize, that's your problem. Doesn't mean you're not seeing. So just because you don't recognize this is Krishna, that's your problem. Doesn't mean your eyes are not seeing. But when we become advanced in Krishna consciousness, we will see and we will recognize. And we'll have a relationship and we will serve. pratyakṣāvagamaṁ dharmyaṁ su-sukhaṁ kartum avyayam. Su-sukhaṁ. So of course we talked about life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness. The process itself is not a boring process. It's not a drag. It is su-sukhaṁ. Sukhaṁ means happy and su means much more. It's intensively happy. It's ecstatic. Su-sukhaṁ kartum avyayam. And it is eternal. And you can see the devotees, they're having such a good time, right? They're having kirtan, they're looking up and you can see they're feeling something special. It's a transcendental feeling. When they chant the name of Krishna. And when we chant it together, it has a magnified effect. And it touches everybody. And then when we're tired and hungry, there's that tray of sweets. Right? I think those are Ekadashi sweets, probably. Those are the milk sweets. But the process, even the honoring of prasadam, the eating of these items that are offered to Krishna, that is also part of the bhakti process. The process of, this is the purport continued, the process of devotional service is a very happy one. Su-sukhaṁ. Why? Devotional service consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. So one can simply hear the chanting of the glories of the Lord, or can attend philosophical lectures on transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharyas. Simply by sitting, which is what you're doing, one can learn. Then one can eat the remnants of the food offered to God, nice, palatable dishes. That's going to happen very shortly, I assure you. In every state, devotional service is joyful. Su-sukhaṁ. Right? It's quite happy actually. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition. Remember we talked about being rich or poor, but you can execute Krishna consciousness, enjoy the same level of happiness regardless of your level of status. Even in poverty-stricken. Why? The Lord says, pavitram pushpam phalam toyam. He is ready to accept from the devotee any kind of offering, never mind what. Even a leaf, a flower, a bit of fruit, or a little water, which are all available in every part of the world. Can be offered by any person, regardless of social position, and will be accepted if offered with love. Therefore, the devotional process is very nice. and it can be executed in a happy mood. God accepts only the love with which things are offered to Him. Remember, He is also hungry for the love. We are like Him, He is like us. We like Him, He likes us. He wants to enjoy a relationship with us. We enjoy the flow of loving exchanges. He's not just giving, He's also taking. He accepts what? The love with which things are offered to Him. So He's also hungry. Bhavagrahi janardana. So, this chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called the King of Education because it is the essence of all doctrines and philosophies. So like Prabhu was mentioning, we offer here in ISKCON also, ISKCON of New Jersey, we have an institution called Bhaktivedanta Institute for Education, where we focus only on the King of Education. You know, Prabhupada complained that there's so many departments of education in the universe, but nobody talks about the soul. So every Sunday, only the King of Education is given here. And there are many courses that are offered also. So like right now there's a Bhakti Pravesh going on. Quite a few students already, some of them are here, they've taken it. And it's really nice, you know, you have like classes, we have interactive sessions, and we have little tests and things like that. It's an introduction to Krishna consciousness. So like that, the devotees will be offering a number of courses coming up, very nice ones, that are structured for newcomers as well as those who are more advanced. This is an example of one of the slides, like who is Krishna, you know, he's Bhagavan, what does Bhagavan mean, Bhagavan, you know, break it out. But things like that, it's very interesting. It gets really in-depth, but it's also a lot of fun. So if you're interested to learn about the upcoming courses, we'll be offering more courses starting in September after this one is done. So, coming back to the 4th of July. We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable, that all men are created equal and independent. And from that equal creation they derive rights inherent, inalienable, among which the preservation of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The declaration of independence. But those who are devotees, they don't want to be independent. They declare dependence. Devotees disregard this whole independent thing because they recognize actually everything comes from Krishna, and they declare dependence. And even right in the face of this, they go out and celebrate their dependence on God. This picture was taken in 1976. 1976 was a big celebration in this country because of 200 years and bicentennial. So whole year the celebrations. And so there was an article in Back to Godhead declaring our dependence on God. This is 1776 to 1976. 1976 just seems like the other day, right? 41 years ago. Yes. I was born in 1976. You know, so it's very interesting that Srila Prabhupada came at just around that time and started spreading. Prabhupada was still around during this time, and movement was in full swing. Happiness. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Happiness comes from relationships. And relationships centered around Krishna are extremely satisfying, very gratifying, because they vibrate with us. They are on the level of the soul. This picture was taken yesterday. These are all my god sisters. They're having a good time doing kirtan, and they're very senior. They joined the movement many years ago, and we were just celebrating, just getting together devotees after so long. It's like a family reunion we have, and you can see how happy they all are. You also find inner peace, the sense of abiding inner happiness too. That you don't need external validation for this happiness. You feel it. Because without peace, there's no question of happiness. Krishna even asks, Ashantasya kutah su-sukhaṁ. Without peace, where are you going to find happiness? So you need peace. But not peace just by itself. Peace is the foundation. Do you know what these are? These fish? Salmon. Salmon, they, actually the L is silent, so salmon, sorry. Yeah, so the fish, salmon, they swim upstream, even at the risk of being killed, because they want to go back to their source. There's something inside them that wants to seek back where they came from. That same feeling is in us too. We'll do anything to go back to our source. And we will not rest, we'll never be happy until we end up in the spiritual world, in the welcome committee, where Lord Krishna is personally there to welcome us. This is a picture of Gopakumar. Gopakumar was an individual who was a soul, who was in the material world, and he traveled throughout the universe, learning and gradually progressing more and more in Krishna consciousness until he finally made it back home, back to God. Because that is really where we belong. We don't belong here. We belong there. Happiness. Happiness. A sense of innocence, a sense of purity, and a sense of intensity. I like this picture because this girl is so happy. She doesn't care who looks at her or anything. She's just looking at the deity and chanting Hare Krishna and really enjoying the pure bliss, the flow of loving exchanges. Happiness comes from serving Radha and Krishna. So Radha and Krishna deities in Vrindavan. Radha Shyam Sundar ki Jai. And now there's a quick story. If I wrap up, there was a 5-year-old girl in the 90s who she was living in the MVT for a few days. MVT is a guest house near our temple in Vrindavan. And she was walking by the pond and she saw this in the tank. She saw beautiful lilies, water lilies. And so she wanted to pick one. Now she had been chanting. She's only 5 years old. And she was chanting Hare Krishna and she realized that chanting means I'm asking for service. So I should serve Krishna. So she said, let me take one of these flowers and offer it to Krishna. So she started going in and pulling it out and she was about to pluck it. And the chowkidar, the guard, he said, hey, put it back. You can't touch these flowers. And then she said, no, this is for Krishna. No, don't touch it. So then Dinabandhu Prabhu is a very sweet devotee, very senior devotee. He asked her, why do you want the flower? She said, I know that I have to serve Krishna and I want to give this to Krishna. So then Dinabandhu Prabhu, he took the guard somewhere else, talked to him and just went somewhere else. And then from another tank, he found another flower and plucked it and put it in his bag and secretly came and gave it to her and told her, look, this is the flower, you can offer it. Now, all you need to do is go to the pujari room, just knock on the door and you give it one of the pujaris, they'll offer it to Krishna. So she got so excited and happy. She ran to the flower and she went to the pujari door and she knocked on it and nobody answered. She was knocking 5 minutes. Now, when you're a kid, 5-year-old, 5 minutes is a long time. Right? So she's like, this is forever. So she opened the door and she looked inside and there's a pujari preparation area. There's nobody there. So she walked inside and then she knocked on the other door. Nobody opened the door to the altar. And she opened the altar door and she was about to step in. And then all the pujaris were dressing the deities. Hey, what are you doing? You can't enter in here. And all the pujaris started making a huge ruckus. And there's one pujari in there who said, stop! This was Aindra Prabhu. He was a pujari. And Aindra Prabhu said, stop! And he talked to the girl. What do you want, little girl? How come you're on the altar? She said, I got this flower for Krishna and I want to offer it. And so then he lifted her. She was this little girl. And he brought her to the deities. And then she placed the flower on the lotus feet. And then he put it back there. And she was so ecstatic. So this is happiness. This is happiness. To this date, she still remembers this story. Obviously, not only she remembers, people talk about it. We're talking about it. It's just a small act of gesture, but this is a pure exchange of love. Pure exchange of love that Krishna is hungry for, and these are the things worth talking about. These are the things worth glorifying. Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Sitaram Lachan Hanuman ji ki, Shina ji ki, Shri Dev Bhagwan ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Thank you all very much for giving me your kind attention.